Hey, it's weekly review time. I have 3 pages to go over today. One being my big 30 flower page that I used every single pencil set that I could come up with in my collection. This is episode 146. And I'm going to start with my full page spread using the Galore 180 color barrels. They were really dreamy to use, very fun, took 2 days. They have a smaller core than their black barrel counterpart that's the red tin. This is the black tin with the elephant. The only thing I did that I did not do on video was used my mat. I just thought it would be fun. I actually colored this whole thing and did not leave hardly any white. The only thing white I left were these little green flowers. So I have gone through and just picked some areas to to erase. And so you can see some erasing to get some little highlights along all of the flowers. And I just thought that was just a nice, easy way of embellishing this page and not overdoing it. So that is the first page, and I will have photography at the end of the video. The second page was my Artisto set. Both of the sets, you'll notice they're not in alphabetical order because the first set was the Galore with a K. These are random numbers my husband selected. So I do have, for the next run through all of my sets, I will be going through 1 through 28, which includes the 7 professional sets and does not include the Crayola. I already have those numbers drawn in Excel. The first 3 are my husband's random picks. So I excluded them when I had Excel do the random numbers. So all 9 of these images are the Artistos, and I really enjoyed using them. My favorite flowers are probably this aqua tone, and this is my least favorite. I did not do such a good job over here, and did a better job with the blues of varying the flowers and still making them look right. This particular flower I'm not fond of, and they were so delicate I didn't do any embellishing at all for this. I can see, like, I should have done that little ribbon yellow. All the other, no, I didn't color that one. So a couple of the ribbons I didn't remember, but all the rest I remembered. And then, so the Artistos I really enjoy. I wish there was more than 72 to choose from on that set. And then the big set that I have a lot to talk about is every set I could come up with. And so here are the sets as I did them. I have 4 parts to the video, episodes 41 through 44. I might have snuck in something in there. Let me just check. Yeah, so it's episode 42 through 45. As I should say, 142 through 145. Completes all 30 of these using every single pencil set. Any number of pencils from 3 to, I think, 8. So the first 7, I started with my professional set, and I went through, these are the Luminance, Pablo, Derwent Drawing, Lightfast, Polychromos, and Holbein. The interesting items to note: the Holbein were the creamiest. Oh, and then Prismacolor. To me, the Holbein were the creamiest. They were even creamier than Prisma, which is interesting because I think most people flip-flop that. The Polychromos, looking at it up close, if we were to zoom in, there's quite a bit of white. And I thought that the colors were vibrant, but it did not fill in the tooth readily. That surprised me. Pablo's filled in the tooth really well. I almost think the Holbein, if I tried to just based on the 7 colorings alone, probably Holbein felt the best to me, followed by the Pablos, though the Pablos tend to be a little bit on the drier side. And then the Lightfast did their typical where you can, as they fill up the tooth, they start to make like a sticky, clicky sound. And so those aren't my favorites. I do really like the Luminance, however. And then a pencil I tend to think I won't like, that I did like, was the Prismacolors did a nice job, and I really enjoyed those. So surprised that the polys, even though they felt nice and silky, they didn't fill in the tooth as readily as everything else. And I was trying to do fairly quick coloring and not spend a ton of time. And I tried not to spend a ton of time even afterwards to making them all perfect. I would just go in and fill in. If I missed an area completely, I would fill it in, because I wanted to have, as I colored them on video, to be the same when we reviewed them. So then the next day, after we finished the 7 professional pencils, I have Amazon Basics, Artex, Arteza, Artisto. So let's talk about those 4. Surprisingly, the Amazon Basics did not smooth very well. I can actually see my lines. I did vertical veining lines, and they did not blend very easily in the pinks. However, the greens did pretty good. So those were okay. I have a little note that I can see quite a bit of tooth where, to me, it should have filled in with the amount of work I put into it. And I think I put a sticky note, somewhat like the Lightfast. I'm looking at my codes, trying to interpret them. The next one, so that was all I had for the basics. And then the Artex, I have a plus. That was a very pleasant coloring experience. I feel like the purples blended very easily. And I do see a little bit of tooth, though, left over in the purples. You know, I tried not to spend too much time on it. But I really like how they worked. Arteza is next, and I have a C for crumbs. And then I have a minus. I don't think that the experience for me was as pleasant as I had expected. And I think I remember talking about the blending of these reds was not so seamless as I would have liked it to be. For the Artistos, I loved them. I have pluses. And I have V for vibrancy. What's interesting to me, comparing this to the Prisma, maybe it's the colors I chose, I'm not sure, but the Prismas don't have that vibrancy that I know they're known for when I am comparing them to, say, this one, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the Artisto. Artisto was one of my most pleasant experiences, how easy they were to color. I have 2 pluses next to those. The Black Widow. I actually did have a hard time with the Black Widow, which surprised me. There's some tooth showing. And the blue, the only thing I did do with this after the fact was try to smooth out the blue background. And I don't know if that's just the color I chose, because other than that blue, my other experiences with Black Widow have been very, very good. But this blue was hard, and I still see some tooth left over. And I don't have any pluses. And I do have a minus because I think I struggled a little bit with that blue. The greens were fine. Then we have the rest of the row is the Brutfuner Square, Brutfuner Macaron, and Brutfuner Flower Box 520s. All of these were a good experience. The only issue that I had was that the blue, the lighter blue, I can still see it. It has a contaminant in its color. You know, this is an inexpensive pencil made in China, very budget, and aside from how vibrant those colors are, I did have to work at trying to blend away the purple, and this is the result that I got. and is as good as it can be, and I can still see a little bit of remnant purple in there and maybe a little bit of scratchiness. So I actually can't believe, but I had to put a minus by the Brute Funer squares. It has a minus and a plus. The minus being the contaminants. And it has a V for being vibrant. I didn't really put anything by the macarons. The macarons are a pastel set, and I thought they were just fine. I can see a little bit of tooth. I probably would not use the macarons by themselves, but it's a nice test to actually just get them out. My preferred use would be to mix them with something else, and maybe I'll have to think about that for the next time I use them. Brute Funer Flower Box, I have a plus by them. I didn't put a V by them for vibrancy because I think that they did not come out as vibrant as the Artisto and the Brute Funer. And the colorability was great. They are very easy to color with. Very pleasant, very creamy, and not a lot of tooth. It was very little effort to fill this in. Very quick, and the yellows and oranges were especially smooth. So flower boxes had 1 plus next to them, and no other notes or anything. Okay, the fourth row. Now we're into Castle Arts. Soft Touch, Gold, Metallic, and Pastels. The Soft Touch did a really nice job. I don't see any tooth looking here. The colors blended together nicely, and I don't have any notes. There's no minuses, no pluses. They were kind of, they were good. Middle of the road, nothing spectacular. However, I was surprised that the golds, I have C for crumbs. I remember talking about that. There's a lot of tooth still showing, and I did not let myself go back and darken them up. The vibrancy is good. I think that it's a very vibrant, but I do have a C and a minus and a T for tooth. So that is how I felt about the Castle Arts Gold, and I have sang their praises before, being very surprised at how vibrant they are, but they just weren't as pleasant. I personally like a cleaner pencil, I guess. For all their vibrancy in their output, the crumbs bother me. Metallic. The Castle Arts Metallic worked out great. I think that they are smooth, they are creamy. If I really just wanted a nice, silky feeling coloring experience, I would grab the metallics. If I just wanted to relax and unwind, I would pick a coloring page, grab these metallics because there are 48 of them, and I would just relax and color without thinking. That's what is a good purpose for those. The pastel tints. I do have by the pastel tints a plus. And I gave them 1 plus because I thought they blended fantastic. And, I wasn't as good at doing the blue background, but I'm only seeing tooth where I wasn't even with my coverage. Everywhere that I covered the background evenly, it went really well. So these are a very nice pastel set. Ironically, just like when I colored the 2 pastels, kind of pitted them against each other, even though I love the macarons, I was still very pleasantly surprised with how nice the Castle Arts pastels were. This last one is Evazar, and I am sad to say I do not think this is Evazar's paper. Whether or not you can see it, I see little modelings of white throughout all 3 colors that I use. The greens, the reds, and the blues. And they are a very creamy pencil, but I had to put a T for tooth and put a little minus by them. And other than that, they weren't very notable other than those 2 things. And I have used these before and loved them. So some of these experiences are dependent on paper, I believe. Okay, next row, we've got Erogetin. My Erogetin got all sorts of high marks. We've got 2 pluses. They were very quick to color with. They were very clean. They blended easily. There is no tooth showing. And I put a V for vibrancy. I was very impressed with their vibrancy. Right next to them, we've got the Galore. Now we have 3 Galore sets. Yes, 3 Galore sets. And I've done a little investigating to report really quickly. This first set is the 120 Black Barrel. The 120 Black Barrel indeed does not have coordinating colors with my other 2 sets. I thought that they colored very well. They colored very quickly and very even coverage, and they get 1+. Oh, and the E for easy. They were, of all of my pencils, for whatever reason, I noted that they felt very easy for me to color. And I love how the peach color came out. The next two, one is the 180 Black Barrel, comes in the deer tin, or Black Barrel, yeah, with the red tin. They are the fat core, so they have a 3.8 millimeter core, far bigger core than their twin, which is the full color barrel 180, which has a 3.3 millimeter core, and both colored nicely. And I want to confirm for you that I went to the box. This came out of my swatching case, and the colors do coordinate, names and numbers. So between the elephant tin and the red deer tin, the red deer tin being Black Barrel, the elephant tin being full color barrel, the colors appear to be the same. So let's talk a little bit about coverage. I have a little note here that says that the Black Barrel with the bigger core had crumbs, and I remember it having crumbs. I also feel that looking at it, I gave it an equal amount of time as the full color barrel, and yet I have quite a bit of tooth showing, which I suspect is more a function of that bigger core. Maybe if I had made sure my pencils were super sharp, I would not have experienced as much tooth being left over. And that's all the notes I have for that. The 180 color barrel, I have vibrancy. I thought they were very vibrant. They were very easy, just like the 120 Black Barrel. And on looking elsewhere, I only have one other set that I did an E next to. Actually, two of them, but one of them, we'll talk about that. Okay, so I have a plus next to the color barrel. These are the new pencils that actually were shipped and were in disarray in the box. And I didn't have to sharpen very many of them. I have had a few of them crumble, but these were not crumbly, the ones that I picked. And I thought they were very pleasant. The next one, look at this. This is probably an unexpected best. Look at how beautiful that has come out. These are the Marie's 168. It probably is very close to the winner. I gave it 2 pluses. I gave it an E for easy and V for vibrant. Very easy to color. Very nice coverage. Wonderful, wonderful experience. Bottom row, Prang. Prang has a minus because it's not as pigmented, and it will always get a minus because they are what they are. However, I did put an E because they are, for me, because I am so used to them, I find them extremely easy to color. Easy, quick. They would be a very nice pencil if you, again, with the metallics, where it's just really super pleasant. I find these very pleasant, and if I had no expectations of a beautiful finished product and have it be a little bit softer, muted color, they're a perfect pencil to use. Moving on to the Speer Farben. The Speer Farben got a minus because I had a heck of a time getting this blue background to fill in. So like the, up here, the Black Widow, this, and then this one that had the contaminated purple, these three are the ones that I had to color the background the most to even get them to fill in all the tooth. So other than that, I thought the Speer Farben were fine. I just didn't find them outstanding when comparing them to everything else. Starjoy Gold got a V for vibrant and 2 pluses, but I didn't think it was quite as easy to use as the other 3 or 4. I have 4 total that I thought were super easy. These were a very good pencil though. Not quite in the love them category, and I thought they blended really well as also. The last two, this is the Cretacolor. That is a big fat 12 set of metallics. I thought they did just fine. I didn't give them any extra attention. I just kind of went in and colored pretty quickly, and they didn't really get anything interesting to note, except they do have that mica feel to them that's very pleasant. But I would probably still be more satisfied coloring with a 48 set, being the metallic here, the soft touch. I mean the Castle Arts. Very surprised by my last item I colored. That was the Crayola. The Crayola that I have struggled with and decided they were not going to be put in my regular rotation. Probably need to be put back in my rotation because these tulips were super easy to do. I think they came out very vibrant and the blending was spectacular. I did only put 1 plus by the Crayola and a V for vibrancy. They weren't like super easy to use like some of the others. So my top 4 of all things were Marie's, Erogeton, Prang, and then the Crayola, which is just so silly. So I will be adding those back in. Those are all my notes I have. I want to switch now. There will be photography of these 3 images, and I am going to talk about black. So along with going through and touching 30 sets of pencils, of the 30 sets, 26 of them have whites. I have tried to capture them all. I have a 27th. Well, 2 of them have 2 whites. So I had my husband review these, just showed him the page and had him pick out the whitest whites. He pretty much picked out the same whitest whites. We both agreed Holbein is the whitest of the whites. We both agreed that the Artisto and the Castle Arts Gold, I believe the Artisto has a little bit of an edge and it could have been maybe the way I colored it. Then we have the Castle Arts Gold. I think Prismacolor is right in there with the Artisto and the Castle Arts Gold. And then the next Derwent drawing is a good one, same with the Evazar. Sadly, this bottom row, we have 2 Black Widow whites, Casper and Snow. They are sitting right here. And the color of one of them, to me, is like bone colored. And the bone colored one is actually Casper. I hope you can see that, the difference there. Casper is a little bit creamier and Snow is a little bit whiter. Also, the Galore, I told you about the determination that I made that the black barrel fat core versus the white full color barrel, these are the same 2 numbers and the same names, and they look identical to me. If at all, when I find there's the color barrel white, here is the black. They look almost identical to me. If the Galore Black Barrel 180 is a slightly whiter white, I think it's because the core is much fatter. And look, I haven't even really sharpened it. It's mostly I've done some swatching and I colored this with it. So, any dull surprises? I'm surprised the luminance did not show up any brighter than that. That surprises me. Nothing else surprises me. I really don't expect any of the whites except Prisma, Holbein. That is the soft white version of Holbein. Definitely have the expectation. I thought Museum Aquarelle should be whiter, but it does have a wet capability that makes it unique. So it's not quite as bright as Evazar and Derwent. Next to it, and then the other 2 per set is the flower box set. Each has its own white. Tofu being the not as bright as the brilliant white that's in the other flower box. Phew. All right, I think I have covered all the bases. I figure you can stop and rewind and look at the different analyses I have for each of the 30 sets. Not wanting to waste too much time. I will be going back through the other 4 videos and put in the timestamps for each set. I just have been so focused on trying to just get this done by today that I haven't had time to go back and do my timestamps. So I owe you guys that. So that concludes this week. Next week we're going to go back to our random numbers, which I have already established through Excel random number generator. So I will see you tomorrow for the next one. Do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And I'll see you then.